What is up, everyone? It is a new year and I got a brand new boat behind me. This one is very unique, okay? This is my third LX21 that I've run, Ikon 21-foot boat, but this is the first boat that was voted for and completely picked by my fans on social media. So that was a really cool opportunity. Earlier this, basically last year in the fall, I had this set up where basically had 5 or 6 different color options, and you all ultimately voted for this color option. Now, there's a lot of people that are gonna be like, hey, this is the Tennessee Vols boat, which it does look that way, and it does look pretty slick, but it is actually my favorite color option, regardless if you're a Vols fan or not. This is a great looking rig and a great looking boat. So we're gonna dive a deep dive into why I did, how I rigged it, all this good stuff right now, so let's go. So why did I pick the LX21? The whole reason behind that is I just love the comfort of this boat. There's more storage, the huge deck. It's just the boat that fits me. When I have 3 guys in my boat, I have a camera guy, I have an official, and I have myself out there and I'm running around. Like, this is the best boat for what I do day in and day out. That being said, Ikon makes the LX20, the VLX20 and 21. So there's a lot of different options, but this boat to me is it's the luxury bass boat in the marketplace, and it really shows with a lot of the features that are in this boat, and we're going to dive into that. But that was sort of overall size. I actually convinced Hunter Sharrock, he runs an Ikon as well. I convinced him. I said, look, man, you need to try the 21. He's like, man, that boat's big. I don't know. And it's because it's actually almost 22 feet long. And he's like, man, that boat's big. And I'm like, I'm just telling you, it rides unbelievable. It just turns unbelievable. It's such a big boat, but it literally feels like a 20-footer when you're running it. Like, it gets up on pad, it runs phenomenally. It's just a different kind of feel. So you have all the luxury of having a bigger boat, but then it's still, I mean, I ran in some small creeks, you know, last year in the James that are like just windy little creeks, and I was able to make these turns. It just doesn't feel that big. So it doesn't feel that big when you're running it, but it feels that big when you're fishing out of it, if that makes any sense. So you guys can see right here, the deck is enormous. Like, I can just lay straight across, you can sleep. Hey, if you got a sleeping bag, I wanted to sleep out here. Listen, this is my home away from home. It's what it is. I mean, I'm spending more time in this boat. Basically, either I'm in my truck or I'm in this boat. That's how it is for the majority of the season. And so this deck is absolutely huge. Sort of going back to the cockpit, I love, you know, I had the insert with the Ikon. So this is sort of like that sea deck material. I don't know exactly what they call this, but the Ikon logo down there in the bottom with the bolt. I love that sort of look. I've already been jumping in this boat. I've already caught double limit of crappie, 35-pound striper. I caught a 6.5 pounder out of this boat already. So it's already got plenty of use, but it still only has, I think, under 10 hours. And shout out to my buddies at We Just Marine real quick here as well. They rigged this whole boat, got it all set up. I brought it up there. They ended up bringing it back down to me, you know, to where I could have it before, to where I could sort of get everything dialed in on it. And they rig all my boats. They did a phenomenal job with this one as well. All right. Of course, we got the Mercury Pro XS 250. She's ready to roll right now. I have a 24 Fury on the back of it. Might switch to a 23, just sort of figuring that out. Props or everything. 10-foot blades. This is the matte black one. I like the matte black. I like the look powerful. The matte black. I thought about doing matte gray, but I felt like the black sort of like helped work with the black in the boat and the trailer and everything. Love the 10-foot blades. If you're looking for, if you can fit 10-foot blades in your garage, I'm just telling you, listen, you're gonna see a lot more guys go into 10-footers because you get a couple more foot out of those 10-footers, of course. When you're getting into some deep spawners, you get out there on a flat, grass flat, and 6 foot of water, throwing like a lipless, something like that. It's just, I'm telling you, it's just that much better. You have a little bit more, you have a little more wind drag. I think you do probably lose a little bit, probably half mile or a mile an hour, probably about a mile an hour on your boat when you're running, because you have a little more wind drag. It sticks up there a little bit more, but it's just, to me, you go to those ramps, you drop your power poles down, you pull over to the side, it's ready to roll. And I did end up doing the 1 pump. So they have the new power pole 1 pump. I have that in the system in here, so I'm going to see how that one's going. It gives you a little more room for the guys who are out there and don't have as much battery space as in their compartment as like the Ikons do. We have quite a bit, you know, back there. So that's a cool thing as well. I'm going to see how that one goes. Seems like it's really nice, but overall, those blades are awesome. Of course, the ladder system. So if you fall out of the boat, easier to grab a hold of that. That's where that is in place. Let's slide around. Oh, of course, hold on. So attached to the motor and to the boat is the jack plate. Bob's jack plate, so I'm running right there. I believe that's a 10-inch set back jack plate. I like to black them out. of course, and that jack plate is the fastest on the market, period, bar none. The advantage of a jack plate, a hydraulic jack plate specifically, that's what I have on this boat is a hydraulic jack plate from Bob's, is being able to get in shallow water, get up on pad, and then be able to get out of those places without hitting, like being able to move your motor up several inches, almost to a foot, from bottom to top, and be able to get more speed out of your boat. So if if you fish shallow water, you're trying to run flats, you're trying to do all that stuff, you're trying to get better performance in your boat, that's the advantage from a hydraulic jack plate versus a standard jack plate. Figuring that out for me, that allows me to sort of play around. Each boat is completely different, so figuring out the perfect scenario. A lot of times I'll lower my jack plate down when I'm about to take off. If I'm down like, plenty of water, boom, get up on pad quicker, and then I start to raise my jack plate up to get more speed as I trim my motor up as well, and figuring that out. So that's an intricate part of getting the best performance out of your boat, and Bob's makes one of the best ones out there on the market, if not the best. All right, so another thing that I put in there is you guys see the RMP nav light on the power pole. That makes it really simple because I have internal nav lights up front. Then you have the one already there. I don't have to grab one out of the box. You don't have to do anything. I just push a button, boom, I got nav lights when it gets that time of day. Or if it's a foggy day or a cloudy day and I want a little bit more, make sure everybody knows where I'm at, a little more safety precaution. That guy right there is worth its weight in gold. Trust me, it is. Sliding up to the cockpit area, this is what electronics am I gonna run this year? This is what I decided. I went back and forth on it. There is no restrictions as far as grass size in MLF and the VPT, but there is on the forward-facing sonar. We're only allowed to have 2 of those, and we're only allowed to have 1 pier we can fish with it per a day. So back here, I decided to go with the ACS 16 Pro. This unit right here is the same one that I ran all last year. I really like that over on this side of the boat because it gives me really everything that I need. You guys know I'm a huge fan of a Lowrance graph and Lowrance units. I feel like their waypoint management's phenomenal. They've really stepped up their side imaging game. There's a lot of different things that to me, like, I just get it. Like, it just works. I've been using it my whole career. It's something that I'm comfortable with their system and their software system and everything that really is going on these units. I know the backwards and forwards of them. If there is an issue, I sort of know what to do. But I think it's the easiest if you're a beginner to graphs in general. I think Lowrance's software system is the best. Personally, for me, and then I have several other people that are beginner anglers that are just starting out, played around with it, they sort of said the same thing. So that's one thing that I would highly recommend if you're looking at trying to get just one graph for your boat, you're trying to step up to just even have side imaging or just have a 9-inch unit, the Lowrance is definitely my #1 pick. That being said, I did add an Apex 13 on this side over here. Why did I do that? Lake Master is a great. Like, I love having C-maps like right here, but being able to go and lower the lakes, if the lake is 5 foot low or 5 feet high, and be able to adjust that with Lake Master it's a lower unit saver is what it is. It really is. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, as far as navigation goes, to be able to navigate a lake like a local might be able to, that has changed the game as efficiency, especially on lakes that we don't get to fish very often, or we're just going to and we only get 2 days of practice. I'm able to sort of see where these channels are. I'm also able to find fish. So having both C-maps and having Lake Master allows for me to really make better decisions navigation wise and find more fish to sort of understand and sort of decipher where I think those fish are going to be, or dial it in if I get on a pattern. So that's why I like having both. I do have the side imaging hooked up on the back for both of these. So I'll give you guys an update later on in the season as it goes on. I think Lowrance has stepped up their game with that HD transducer. I'm gonna see, I've always liked Humber Mega Live. We have 2 Tennessee River tournaments this year, a little bit of offshore stuff. I'm gonna sort of see what it is, and I'll give you an update later on in the season, sort of like what my mindset is on the system, the setup. But another reason why I put the 16 on this side is last year I had it on the opposite side, and the issue with that is when you go to jump up, I had a 16 and a 12. When I would go to jump up and try to run a lot of spots, or like say I'm running docks or something like that, I would hit the side of that 16, right? That's what sort of was frustrating. So I'm like, all right, make it a little bit more efficient. And also it was like a little bit tougher for my cameraman to move around. So that's why I decided to put it on this side. Let's jump up in the boat and I'll give you sort of a breakdown internally. And then of course, what's on the front of this boat as well. All right, we're now in the back cockpit of the boat. This whole system, like for me, of course, starting with the seat, have me able to adjust that really easy. These seats overall, they just support your back. I've really just, to me, man, it's longevity wise for the ride of the boat, Seats are really important. They really are a big part of that. These are like the cool feel vinyl seats, and they don't get really hot. So I went with a lighter color this year. They don't get hot. Like I had a darker gray and a lighter gray last year. They have a really cool feel vinyl. They don't really get hot. Even if they were darker, I'm sure they would get a little hotter, but these ones definitely won't get hot at all. The whole system to control everything right here is good as I've ever had it in a bass boat, period. One of my favorite features of the cockpit of this boat is definitely the home screen. Now, I've always been a little bit of a skeptic on I'm more of that old school guy. Give me them old school switches. If something goes wrong, I can go to Academy or West Marine and get a switch and be able to replace it, right? But I just have not had an issue with this home screen and having the whole system in this boat. They make updates on it just like they would on your phone. It's super simple. It shows me the voltage, my how many gallons I have of gas in this boat. And that is another thing. These gauges are like unbelievable. Like if I have 25 gallons of gas, I have 25 gallons of gas. Like I've gotten to the point where I've had 2 gallons of gas and I get to the gas station and fill up and it's exactly right on every time. I don't ever have to guess that. It's like just another thing that like when you look down, you're like, oh man, is my gauge right? No, it's right. But in addition to that, so you can control everything from the home screen, electronic aspect of it, but then you also have the quick touchpad. So having your nav lights, having some other things, this is like just a safety and secure thing, but it also makes it easy to just tap something. So if I want to go like live well real quick, boom, turn it on, I just tap that real quick. Or of course the lights, nav lights, bilge, all that stuff, live well pump out, it's all right here, or you could do it right here internally. If you want to do the more intricate detail stuff, then you're able to sort of jump into, you know, whether you want to put a fish IV, you want to add more like G-juice, something like that. In the fully automated live well system is what really is unique about this, the L2 live well system. And it's just like fully automated where you can adjust it and sort of set it for the exact features that you want. Now, when it's cold outside, it's not as important to be running your live wells all the time, but when it is hot, you have fish in there, you need to have enough battery to support, you know, your aerators and everything else and make sure that everything's taken care of. So also back here, you have the Klipsch audio system. And this one's like a big upgrade. It's freaking awesome. They actually have a speaker right here so I can adjust whether I'm gonna go with, you know, the two speakers on each side, or if I can just want more of like a lower sound, like I can adjust which speaker is on. So like if I want the boom, like that real more bass player, if I'm just sort of like more of like a, hey, I'm out here just hanging out with the wife and just more of like just one single speaker when I'm idling around, like I could have that, you know, give me an option there. One thing that I feel like is a must and should be a must in every single bass boat, it's a little expensive, I'm sure, but is a phone charger. I have a phone charger right down here. It's so easy to use. I keep my phone there charging. It's a wireless charger, so it doesn't matter if you have an Android or iPhone. That's something that's just so simple. Put it down there. It's probably one of my favorite features on this boat that just I use all the time. And now, like if I get another buddy's boat and I'm like, where's the phone charger at? And they don't have it, it's like, what? You don't have a phone charger? Like, it is so nice just to simply have it there, and you get off the water on a long day on the water and you're able to grab your phone and it's fully charged. You're not sitting there like, I gotta plug it in, you know? New for this year, or at least new for this boat, for me, is the power pole controller. It is able to float around a little bit. You have like sort of your home little locked in cockpit thing right here. It locks it in place. You're able to have it there, mount that, but also if you want to grab it and go ahead and bring it up, you know, with you, you have that option there. So rather than having a remote here as well as having one like a lanyard, you're able to sort of do both with one. And I think that was a really good move by PowerPole to switch that up as well. So the other thing I decided to go with, that I go back and forth between getting a DTS Mercury or going to more of that regular, just sort of cable driven. The advantages of a DTS is you're able to sort of switch back and forth between hand throttle and then your hot foot. I decided hot foot sort of most of the time I'm using that anyway, so I sort of decided to roll with that. It is a little bit more of an upgrade, so if you feel like that feature's worth it, it's something that you could look into, but I decided to go with the norm, the norm right there for sure. All right, so this is going to the center console. This boat is awesome. It really is. It even has a light inside here, so when it's dark in the morning when you launch early, being able to turn your light on and be able to look and see what you got, like and grab like your cell phone, or grab like, say you're going through boat check, getting a key fob. All that's awesome. Of course, I'll do a full breakdown. I don't have everything in the boat that I'm gonna have for the season, but I'll do a full breakdown of what I put in this boat and how I set it up before I leave for the first term of the season. Just because I feel like that's something that everybody always wants to know, is like, what do you have in your boat before you leave? Because there's always something. I've always watched those videos. You always learn something of like, oh man, I need to get that. You know, I need to add that to my boat. But as far as center console goes, I mean, it really is awesome. The latches are awesome. They lock in place. You just don't have to worry about getting, you just don't have to worry about things getting wet in there. It's just as good as one can be, is what I feel like anyway. All right, so it's pretty hard to reinvent the wheel as far as coolers go, but as far as a cooler, this is a fully insulated cooler that comes with this Ikon, and being able to have a full case of waters in the summertime, having plenty of room, even like having a big bottle of water like that, a full liter bottle of water, being able to stand it up straight, a lot of room. There's a light inside your cooler as well, so again, if you're out there in the dark, you're out there night fishing, anything like that, you're able to get that. And then they put this up here so like you guys grabbing a sandwich or something like that, grabbing some Subway or something like that, you put your ice in there and able to put that sandwich up there. I mean, I've had as many as 3 days in the summertime where, I mean, I've never even replaced the ice. Having the ice last for 3 days long. Now the key is, of course, locking that, because it does have a seal around it. Making sure that seal locks in place is really important. Being able to go pump, lock it in place, that's important. But 3 days I've had it on the heat of the summer, hold ice, which is insane. So really nice on that side of things. Let's jump at the front of the boat, talk about what my electronic setup is there, and then we're gonna sort of walk around and sort of talk about some things. Last thing I'm gonna touch on down here in the cockpit. I love this. Obviously you can see I've been using a lot of different things. Got jerk baits, got some hair jigs, got some crappie lures over here. Just sort of having a place to sort of put those. Sometimes I'll even grab like a jig head and sort of just hook it, like, you know, say I hook it like right there in the carpet or something like that if I'm trying to sort of get it out of the way. That's also, there's enough room here to sort of do a couple things. I sometimes will I need to add a little storage, there's a couple of things I will add to the boat. Something like a magnetic deal. I think TH Marine makes one, like a little magnetic deal that I put sometimes there to play jerk baits and whatnot. Then also having plenty of room for multiple pliers. You guys know you can never have enough pliers and scissors in a boat. And so having plenty of space to sort of put your pliers up here, having this already pre-cut in there, you're ready to roll. Of course, also measuring board. So out there crappie fishing, been using this quite a bit, catching quite a few right there. Going up here towards the day box. This guy right here, I like this as sort of my everyday when I put my plastics in there, especially if I say like I'm using a lot of the crushity stuff and I want to keep that in clamshells, I'll put them in here. This is sort of the day box. I can take it out. So say like it's really nice if it's raining outside or the wintertime, you know, you're trying to reorganize some things. You don't want to sit outside. It's a little cold. This is a great time to use some of that. Go in there, fire extinguishers inside of here. So that's just sort of nice to have that, be able to use that space. But that's little day box, ready to roll. All right, going into storage on the starboard side of the boat. This is where put, you know, of course, life jackets, stuff like that. I don't put a lot of weight up here. Typically, that's one thing that I always try to do is you try to put majority of your weight towards the back of the boat. One thing that I will say is very important is if you're not already installing your box, so Active Target 2 is in here, any boxes, anything additional that I'm gonna try, electronics that I'm gonna try to put on, I wanna have that main home box right here. So having the Active Target 2 box right there, being able to unplug the power wire, turn it back on if there's anything that I need to, okay, yeah, it's on, knowing that those things are taken care of, it makes it easier rather than having it in the front of the boat, trying to be able to manage that can be a nightmare. So this guy right here is plenty of room, a lot of stuff, but I gotta put a lot of stuff in there. I got some things I gotta put in there. Heading over to the rod box. This guy holds a ton of rods. I think I've had as many, I know I have, I've had as many as 40 rods in this rod box. Now, you don't always need that, but it is nice to have a little space. Right now I have a whole bunch of crappie rods because I've been doing a little crappie fishing. So over here, the way that the engineers worked with this boat and the LX, here's all the water drains through, like slowly, like shifting all that water back to the back of the boat. There's drains and drain systems and the whole system internally in the boat to allow all that water to drain back to the back so you can get to the bilge area and drain out. So that's the cool thing about it. I like the sleekness of this. Like, I'm not a big fan at all, listen here, at all having those systems and rod holding systems in your boats. A lot of times they break rods, they break guides off your rods. It's just easier to have access and put rod stocks on your rods, and then have this sort of open in here, so that way you're not really messing up the rods and messing up what you got going on. So got a lot of crappie rods in here right now, but we'll all be rigged up and ready to roll for bass fishing season here very soon, here in about 3 weeks, so be ready to roll. So center box right here, this is my favorite system, but I am missing one thing. So one piece is the top part of this. So waiting to grab that, I end up actually left it at the factory, so my bad. I do have it set up so you can sort of see what the bottom part of this system is. That's having all my boxes ready to roll in here. I love this system. You guys have seen me use it for years. Being able to have the top slide up and forward, but then also have all this storage right here, as well as being able to throw life jackets and throwables up front. Just sort of, it's just the easiest access, easiest system for tackle storage that I've had. Like, I personally love this. It just works well, and it's all about efficiency and about organizing your stuff to where you're more efficient on the water, and this system allows me to do that. So going through some of the intricate details of this boat, a lot of this stuff is very similar to what my last year's boat was. Just having this big giant deck, again, great for team tournaments, great to have 2 guys up on the front deck all the time. Realistically, like, I love going out there and having fishing buddy tournaments, and having even fishing tournaments with my wife. This last year I got a chance to go out and do that, and it just has so much room. You're able to sort of have the kids up there. I spent a lot of time as a dad taking Hudson and Olivia out together, which is a little bit hectic at times, but it gives them enough space up here where I can sort of put one up towards the front, one towards the, towards the back of this deck, and then they both have enough room to cast around and try to reel a few fish in. So let's just jump up here to the bow of the boat, talk about the electronics, talk about trolling motor, all that stuff, what we decided up here. You guys always ask about what we're going to do. This year, with 2 live transducers, I went back and forth on what I was going to do. Like, we're only allowed to use it for 1 period, which is, like, I'm really excited for that rule. So if you haven't heard, MLF, Major League Fishing, BPT, we're only allowed to have live scope, active target, forward fishing sonar 360 is included in that, and you're only allowed to use that for 1 period out of your 3-period day. So 2/3 of the year you will not be able to utilize forward facing sonar or 360. And in this scenario, I'm looking forward to that. Like, I think it's going to slow the pace down in some places. It's going to make it, you're going to have to sort of, it's all strategy. It really is all strategy, and I'm looking forward to that. But what did I decide? So what I decided right here, as far as I got a Lowrance Active Target 2, that guy's ready to roll, of course. Then I have a 360 up top. So only be able to use that for 1 period. I like 360, and the advantage of 360 for me is being able to, like, perspective is cool, but like, there's times where 360 just allows you to get a better overview of the bottom. And when you're fishing on a point or something, and say you're spot locked, being able to see, hey, there's, some fish moving through, or hey, there's a little bit of brush or rock somewhere over there, and cast over that way. I like that aspect of it. That's what I rigged my boat up with. We have some offshore tournaments this year. When fish are towards the bottom, 360 does tend to pick them up better. So that's something that I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'd like to have the 360, but in addition to that, of course, the Active Target 2, that's something I've run for years. I really like that. My personal preference on forward fishing sonar, I like Active Target 2. I like Lowrance. I have a Lowrance HDS16 up top. All of these graphs are mounted with BoatLogix mounts. Really important as well is adding a better gimbals. They make the gimbals as well for all your graphs. Check them out, BoatLogix, but they have the sturdiest, nicest mounts. I've been running those for the last 5 years or so. Really, really awesome people too here in Tennessee. David and the whole crew over there, they do a great job, and they always look out. That being said, HDS 16 top right, HDS 12 bottom, and I'll show you sort of like what I'm going to do with this real quick here. So right here, we have sort of this system. Forward mapping, and then your side imaging, and then I have this Apex 13 as well, Lake Mass, which the chip's not in there, and then 360. So sort of having all of that and giving me a full understanding. There's times like when you're in super shallow water, having that 360, if you're sort of moving around, is really good to have. The AT2 really for me is just being able to I can see my bait further. I feel like a lot of people are big fans of Garmin's, but personally, Dustin and I will talk about it all the time because Mark's always running a Garmin, and we got a lot of buddies that like the Garmin. But I just, personal preference is everything. It's whatever works for you. Obviously, that the AT2 is something that has worked really well for Dustin and I in the tournament side of things, and so I like to have that. But I am looking forward to just, I think that the cool thing is having the best of both worlds. I think that's the cool thing this season, is having it all. Yep, there's times I'm going to have all this stuff and I'm going to be looking at it, and there's going to be times you boys going to be running down the bank throwing a buzz bait trying to reel on a big one, you know what I'm saying? So I really like, it's just going to be fun. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But over here on the left-hand side, the trolling motor itself, Minn Kota, Ultrex, the Quest. I've run this motor. It's awesome. It really is. Look, guys, they make a really good product. They don't have service trailers out there on tour, on our tour to the BBT, but it's one of the best trolling motors out there. It really is. It's just super quiet. They've made it. I didn't think they could make the Ultrex that much better, but with that Quest, they really did it. They did a great job with it. It works well with the forward aspect of things. It's quiet. Being brushless, being able to get more out of those MillerTech batteries and more out of the trolling motor. These are all things that help me get a little bit more every day. I went with the Quest, and I've never really regretted it. I did have one issue last year, and that was my fault. I hit something and broke the shaft. If you guys saw that video where I broke the shaft, and then Ott came off the water. It was like the last day of practice on the James River. Ott came off the water, took a trolling motor out of the back of his truck, took the shaft out and gave me the shaft. So it basically gave me the trolling motor in the head and the shaft of the trolling motor, and helped me put it all together, and I was able to go. So shout out to Otter again for being one of the coolest dudes and looking out. They make a great trolling motor, and that is definitely one that I'll have on there. As far as mounts go, I do have the Fish Obsessed mount up there. It's a small company out of Ohio, right? I think they're out of Ohio. The guys at Weeders Marine hooked me up on all that. They rigged all this up. I know how to rig all this stuff up, but it's a lot easier to be like, yo guys, hook your boy up. You know what I'm saying? Like, they do it really clean and nice and looks good and neat. And big shout out to them again. They always hook me up, and I really appreciate that as well. One thing I did forget about, this console, it is awesome, but being able to have an easy access panel back here is insane. So being able to have, a lot of times I'll put my call tags if I'm fishing like tournaments around the house, or I'll put my scale right here, ready to roll. But and being able to get back in here if anything happened to get, you don't have a connection on your transducer, something's weird. I have fuses in here. I have everything ready to roll that I just pop this out. I can put up a 5-amp fuse, see if there's something blown. It's awesome. It's the sturdiest console. Like, you can feel I'm pulling on it. I've put it through hell and back over the last couple of years, and never had single issue with their console. So it's just super sturdy. It's just locked in place, and they got it right on that one for sure. Next up, the live wells. All right, you guys obviously know I get to use this periodically. Of course, I fish some little tournaments around the house, as well as fishing some of the invitationals last year. I might even jump in a couple Toyotas this year. This system was designed for one thing and one thing only: is keeping fish alive. Working with the guys and working with the engineers, it really came down to trying to make sure that everything was, there was no sharp things around to mess up the fish. A lot of times fish get beat up in bigger waves, they get sloshed around. It's a fully automated system. So this system right here, being able to turn my live well on, okay? If the water comes down below a certain point in this live well, there'll be a flip switch. A switch will actually flip, and it'll fill that live well back up to where there is no distance. There is no room between the top of this lid and the fish. It's all water. So there is no sloshing around. So that's a really big feature in this boat, and this is the reason why they designed this whole thing. It's like, how can we do it better? How can you get more out of it? Now, that being said, I will say this. One thing that needs to still happen, and people have to understand, ice is still a thing, as a must-have in the summertime, okay? You take a fish out of 20 feet of water, okay? Just say we catch one out offshore. Catch them 20 feet of water. It's probably 15 degrees cooler down there. Put them in a live well, water's 85 degrees. You still have to drop your water temperature down to keep those fish alive and keep them well. So that's something that's, there is no substitute for ice and keeping your water temperature lower. Just that's something that's really important, something that everybody needs to understand as far as fish management goes. That being said, fully automating, having the fish IV in the whole system, it's been awesome. It really has been. And not being these guys right here, not having anything sharp, smooth edges, it's something that was important to me, and it's important to Ikon to ultimately make a great live well system, and they did a great job with it. They definitely did. We'll let this guy lock him in. A ton back here because I have a drop-in tub for over here, and then a lot of times I'll take the drop-in tub out to where I can put like more things. I have some life jackets back there, nothing really crazy, a couple life jackets, but I'll do a full breakdown of what I put in the boat, like I said, later on. But right now I really don't have a ton in here. And I have the drop-in tub at the house, and then I have the drop-in tub over here, sort of see what it is. You got your stuff. So this is a drop-in tub. Of course, you have some of the covers for the grass and whatnot, but nothing too crazy. Don't really have a ton in the boat right now. This is an important compartment in this boat. My batteries. So the battery system and what I've been running the last 2-3 years is 3 36 volt batteries. Okay, these are 60 amp hour MillerTech lithiums. It's 180 hours of MillerTech power. These batteries have been flawless. I've run a lot of different lithium batteries over the years. MillerTech, in my opinion, makes the best. It works with an app controlled app. They also have a system, and I'll show you guys on the other side here later on. But one thing I did end up having, I have the guys at Weedus Marine do for me. So I have 2 of these batteries running parallel, give me 120 amp hours of power. Then I have a backup 36 that is not connected to my system. So that allows for me to, if I ever had an issue with like my batteries charging and whatnot, basically that allows for me, I'll show you even right here. I've been running the single 36 amp hour battery the last 3 days, okay? So if you look over there, go to the battery real quick here. 38, it's about to die. So I'm gonna disconnect that, stay right there. So it drops off, voltage drops off, and then I'm gonna connect this. Now with full batteries, just like that. Just like that, you see it right there. I know what's going on, and he's ready to roll. I mean, that's what it's about. Having this quick disconnect from the guys at Weedus and looking out. They came up with this. If you see it anywhere, I'm pretty sure I was the first guy doing this, but that's awesome to have. You don't necessarily have to have that. The lithium aspect of things has been a work in progress. It's taken time to sort of figure out the system of what you want, what works well for you. But there is times, like even with 2 36 volt batteries, 60 amp hours, that is sort of allowing me to like get them. I mean, that's a lot of power, but like if I go on control motor all day at 100%, I will burn these up probably in about 12 hours, 10 to 12 hours. So say it's a long day, like I'm going to Champlain and I have a 16-hour day and I'm going on my controller nonstop. Basically, that allows me to have a full 16-hour day of practical daylight to the dark in the middle of the summertime. So that's sort of the mindset there. But also, again, if there's an issue, that's some of my favorite things the guys at Weedus have sort of come together with. So the fish IV reservoir is back here as well. The one pump, the batteries, this is on this side. This is, you can fill him up. You got him all ready to roll. I would say, like, it depends. I'd have to talk to Hunter and Welcher about that. But I would say, you know, you fill this guy up, you're ready to roll for a while. For me, obviously, I don't get to use it that much. So it's something that I fill it up one time or a couple times throughout the season, and you're ready to roll. Okay, back over here to the starting battery side. I have two 135 amp hour MillerTech starting batteries. This is the battery that I run the most on all my electronics, but I run them in parallel. And then I have this MillerTech dual output marine charger. It's a 36 and a 12 volt. This is an awesome charger. So basically how I have it set up, both these are running parallel, those are running parallel. You have a switch right here. These are gonna be able to charge both batteries, ready to roll. Then you have on the opposite side, best of both worlds. You're charging your 12 volt system and you're charging your 36 volt system. So that was something that was always a pain in the butt when you're going with a 12 volt and a 36 volt. You're trying to like, oh gosh, what do I need? I need 2 different chargers, and you're trying to mount that stuff. MillerTech making one battery charger for both of those. For guys like myself and several of us out there that are running that, that is a must have for sure. Back here as well is the Bob's Machine prop storage system. So this guy right here has your prop wrench, has the block, and then you put your prop right there as well. So that is sort of a nice feature to have. An extra prop, probably put a 23 back there, then I'll have the 24 on, so sort of swap back and forth. I might even mess around with a 4-blade this year. It all just depends on like how you're fishing and where you're fishing, because it's like, all right, do you want speed? Do you want lift? Do you want, getting up on pad faster? Like, it just depends on how much weight you got. There's a lot of different things. I'll be honest with you, I'm not that big on like overall like the speed aspect of things, because I just don't think, I've never caught a bass at 65 miles or 70 miles an hour. Just never have. I'm not typically as worried about that, but what I'm worried about is getting up on pad, being able to move around, and like, because there's a lot of time wasted of like, if I'm jumping spot to spot, boom, fish this point, boom, fish that point, boom, fish this dock, boom, fish that. Like if it takes me 20, 30 seconds or, to get up on pad versus 3 seconds or 5 seconds, it's a big difference over the duration of the day when I'm, I remember one time like at the Chowan, the last day, the championship day around, I moved like 56 times. So when you factor that in and you're adding 20 seconds of time every single time you get up on pad, or 10 more extra seconds of time, that adds up to be a decent amount at the end of the day and end of the competition day, especially at the end of the year when you really think of it that way. The whole year and duration of a full season, I think about how many more casts I make, thinking about getting up on pad faster. So that's a lot of times what I'm thinking about, because I'm normally not moving big distances other than the first run. I'm sort of hopping around, bebopping around. So that's why it's important to get up on pad, and really that's an efficiency aspect of just like boom, 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 boom. Anyway. It's my thought behind it. Works for me anyway. So one other thing I had the guys at We Just Marine run is a backup transducer. Whether I have, a lot of times what will end up happening throughout the duration of the year, you'll bump into something, you'll hit something, whether you hit a log, it's just part of it. You bump a transducer, and a lot of times you mess up a crystal inside that transducer and you don't get to see your side imaging. This is that HD transducer from Lowrance. So I just wanted to have another backup back here, already ran through here, ready to roll. I have it as a spare inside internally in there. I don't have it run out. It's just basically ready to roll right here. So if I do end up messing something up, or if I feel like for some reason I'm not getting the best image and I want to try another transducer to see if it's something better, then I have that option to do so. Just sort of thinking ahead and being prepared for anything to happen out there on the water. All right, so there you guys have it. The full breakdown of my brand new LX21. I'm excited to start the tournament season. I hope you guys are as well. There is always like that anticipation of like, like you get a new boat and you sit there and you think through it and you're like, all right, is it going to be a good year? Is it going to be a good boat? Is it going to be a lucky boat? Is it going to be an unlucky boat? We're hoping for the lucky aspect. Both those Icons the last couple of years have been really lucky. And I can't wait to start the season off and kick it off in Conroe down in Texas. Late January, first week of February. Should be fun. We'll see you guys here on the next one. We out.